Hello, I'm Chris, this is Gross Models again, and this is Water Effects Part 2. I had a couple of advice and points raised by my last video, so I'm trying it again, and trying it again slightly differently. So I'm going to start another test piece and play around with some more of the Mod Podge. So I'm going to be making another base with some Tamiya cement and plasticard that basically melts the plasticard into a solid base. Again, I didn't measure any of this. This is just purely to give me some walls to deal with, save having to build anything substantial. So this was just cut by eye and it's just basically stuck together quick and dirty. Now apparently colouring the Mod Podge, although works, doesn't work very well. So if I can get this to stick, I'll leave that to dry for a bit, and then I shall go back to painting the base. Again, brown is a good base to go with, so I'm going to go with, again, the Citadel that dries nice and quick. Just going to get a blob of that and cover, again, not worrying about all of it, where the edges are still going to be a bit gluey, not worried about that, and I'm not worried about perfect coverage either. It's proof of concept rather than actual detail work that we're going with. So I'm going to leave the paint and the sides to dry for a bit, and then show you what I'm doing with the Mod Podge again. Okay, that's that dry. So my problem with putting the Mod Podge on before was thickness. Not just me, it was actually the amount of stuff I was putting on. I was doing it much too thick apparently. Now the way people have been doing this, I'm sure I took the lid off once, or is it just going back on there again? The way other people have been doing this, probably without getting it everywhere, but you know, is basically to use a brush. So you load up the brush and then you basically cover what you want to cover from the brush. Now putting this on like this will apparently give a better results, because you're not layering it in, you're just putting it in a thinner layer, and you're not putting down an ordered flat layer, although I've got some bubbles there that I'm going to go back and get rid of. By putting it down in splodges, you're creating a better effect. So something like that apparently still takes about a day or a day and a half to dry. So the thickness that I was putting down before, I'm surprised it dried as quick as it did. Now I still want to get some colour into the layers, so I don't know. I'm going to see how this dries in a day or two and see how it looks. If it goes completely transparent, which is what I think it's going to do, then that's not really what I'm after. So I might try then painting the surface of that, or I may still try colouring another application of it, as it were, because that actually didn't come out too bad on my test piece, which has now had another day or two to dry. There's still some white in there, but there is just that tint of blue. So I think that may be the way to go. But I say, different application, different way of doing it. Apparently gives more a water-like effect rather than just being a solid block. still needs layers, and for the thickness I'm going for, it's going to need quite a few layers, so obviously quite a few days. And then I'll see about adding the top layer of the more professional water effect, and we'll see how we go from that. So this is an ongoing video. Obviously you won't see it till it's finished, so hopefully be a few weeks in the making, but I'll be doing other things along the way. So I'll put that aside again, and we'll see how it looks in a couple of days, and I'll update you in a bit. Right, what have I been doing since I saw you last? I let the single layer dry, and then it was very, very thin. It still is very, very thin. So I think building it up like that is going to take absolutely ages, and to get the thickness I'm after, which is probably about half of the depth of this, is going to take weeks. But you never know. What I've done is given it a quick spray in blue over the top of the dried water. I've gone light on half of it and darker on the other half, and I've got another one that I just did a splodge of a bit deeper, and I've just gone light across all of that. Now I also did a mix of the Mod Podge and blue in a very thick layer. This hasn't dried yet. It's still sort of rubbery. It's sort of dried a little bit on the surface, but it's not all the way down by any stretch. So that's an ongoing test just to see what happens. So what I'm going to do with these is the same again really. I'm going to do another thin layer on there, just dotting it on, and another thicker layer on there, and we'll see how it comes out. So again, I'm just going to pour some into there. This is starting to set a bit, even still in the pot, just sort of the top layer. Oh dear, far too much. I'll dip that out of there and get that in there. I think the lid seal isn't as good as it should be, so it's starting to sort of dry with the skin, but I'll be using most of that in this anyway. So I'm just going to do the same again with this one, possibly a little bit thicker than it was the first time out, because I do need to build it up a bit. But that's going to see how the sort of transparent paint layer is going to work, and it looks like this is going to take about a fortnight for this mod I've got in there to dry down. I've got to pour some of that back into the pot in a minute. But again, it's just a wait and see. So I'm doing other things while I'm waiting for this to dry. I'm not sitting here watching this, and I don't expect you to sit here and watch this either. It does give a nice effect having it, say, splodged on, but seems to take a long time. So I'm going to pour a lot of that back into the pot and see how it goes. See you in a bit. Right, several weeks have actually passed since I've made the last segment you just watched. What I've been doing, as and when I remember, I've been adding layers of the Mod Podge to these ones. Now, I've just watched back to refresh my memory. This is the one that I sprayed a layer over the top of, and it's come out alright. There are some noticeable artifacts in there which may be, say, down to me rushing making it, and there's still some white in there which doesn't seem to be going away. That one, again, much the same, as a big bit of white in there. I might not have let one layer dry sufficiently before I do the next one. The one I'm happiest with is this one, which is the one that I actually put blue paint into the Mod Podge on the first thick layer and left it for ages to dry. So that seems to be the way I'm going to go. It's still got some air bubbles in there, so I'm obviously going to have to be more careful when I make it. What I'm actually going to try and do on this one is get rid of the sides. I don't know how it's going to look from the side, so I'm going to try and break this away. There we go. Yeah, so from the side that's actually not bad at all. you can see there is still a whiter layer in there, but you can't really see it once it's done. It's still sort of rubbery, and obviously we're up in wiping off the paint and brush on the sides there. It's come up with the edges quite a lot, which isn't too much of a problem. That can be sort of cut away if need be. But yeah, so I think I have a plan. I'm going to be doing that. So probably thinner, slower, more careful layers on the actual build itself. Let's just have a look. Grab a blade and see. That's quite substantial. But does cut. So yeah, that would actually, if I have something that I build up against, then I can remove the edge, and that's not a bad edge for a diorama. It gives the right level. Probably too much blue in there. I think I'll be going more greeny for the actual diorama itself, but you can actually see a nice gradation at the edge there. So yeah, I think I have a plan. So yeah, I'm going to call that the end for this how to learn with Gross part 2, and hopefully we have something to learn going onwards. So I've got an idea of what I'm going to be doing now, which is always nice to have. So as ever, thanks for watching. I hope you've subscribed to the channel, watch the other learn tos that I've got and learn withs, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.